Pisato da 2011 شعريلي أسيريا تيفي بفروسيفي وموزة بناو هاوي أسيريا تيفي أوقولو حيرو وأوقولو شاريو دو عامو سريوي ببريثو وأوني شد أسيريا تيفي دماحت فرجونو بوفوكوس ودنوقل الطيبة وشو شوت تكون بين دو عاميذن لبريثو كولا لجن أسيريا تيفت قدر مداوم بوف الحونيذي قلوزملي إم عذرون ثثخو إذا كورحميتو أو شغلت أسيريا تيفي وكوحوزيتو إلصويثت أسيريا تيفي بو حقلو دي ميديا مفصوحين ساقيد معضريتو أسيريا تيفي درب مشحل في كبخ معضريتو أسيريا تيفي كبخو هويتو هادومي بو فيسبوك مليون زوزة ناعيمة أو إنقلد رحميتو دهويتو هادومي بو يوتيوب تاموستب مليون زوزة ناعيمة كبعيتو دهو والخوميديا تكتلا قولو حيرو ودلتيو ما صرتو عم قابش وتوسي توكوسي وأوعيتا ووثي مقوايو أسيريا تيفي مقوايو وقولفخو يميديا
Otherwise, we don't have access to you. طلب منه خذ له دهود مسبوله كلي أخذت ناشخين الأوضة بقى لو ما دخينا. هذا مش ضروري آخر تطالع خم بواتساب دقيقة. Okay, just it's okay. كيبا ان دوستر ايش بيجاني باش اوتوماتيك بقى بود كونكشن وبقى باب اخذته ان شاء الله بس برونق تعمل ايه ده هل طالع بشانه وشلام مش مريشي مصطلي الجولينج مش قدران طالع just pick on it and we need just to get you in and then we will do the rest. لا مش قدر هم كمبيوتر جو اخذته جو ايميل بابه ولا مش قدر هم بايميل بلي مش قدر اخذته دا ديشمو بيجا غونساليس ولا مش قدر اخذته طالع مباب هذا
بيشاتو دا 2011 شعريلي أسيريا تيفي بفروسيفي وموزة بناو هاوي أسيريا تيفي أوقولو حيرو وأوقولو شاريو دو عامو سريوي ببريثو وأوني شد أسيريا تيفي دماحت فرجونو بوفوكوس ودنوقل الطيبة وشو شوت تكون بين دو عاميذن لبريثو كولا لجن أسيريا تيفت قدر مداوم بوف الحونيذي قلوزملي إم عذرون ثثخو
Otherwise, we are going to jump to the next one and you will then do it after me, okay?
إذا كورحميتو وشغلت أسيريا تيفي وكوحوزيتو إلصويتو أسيريا تيفي بو حقلو دي ميديا مفصوحين ساقيد معضريتو أسيريا تيفي تربي مشحل في كبخ معضريتو أسيريا تيفي كبخو هويتو هادومي بو فيسبوك مليون زوزة ناعيمة أو إنقلد رحميتو دهويتو هادومي بو يوتيوب تاموستي بمليون زوزة ناعيمة كبعيتو دهو الخميديا تكتلا قولو حيرو ودلتيو ما صرتو عم قابي شوتوسي توكوسي وأوعيتا ووثي مقوايو أسيريا تيفي مقوايو وقولتخو يميديا بيشاتو دتري 1011 شاريلي أسيريا تيفي بفروسيفي وموزا بناو هاوي أسيريا تيفي وقولو حيرو وقولو شاريو دوعامو سريوي ببريثو ووني جد أسيريا تيفي دماحت فرجونو بوفوكوس ودنوقل عطيبي وشرشو تتكون بين دوعاميذن لبريثو كولا لجن أسيريا تيفت قدر مداوم بوف الحونيذي قلو زملي إم عذرون ثثخو إذا كورحميتو وشغلت أسيريا تيفي وكوحوزيتو إلصويتو أسيريا تيفي بو حقلو دي ميديا مفصوحين ساقيد معضريتو أسيريا تيفي تربي مشحل في كبخ معضريتو أسيريا تيفي كبخو هويتو هادومي بو فيسبوك مليون زوزة ناعيمة أو إنقلد رحميتو دهويتو هادومي بو يوتيوب تاموستي بمليون زوزة ناعيمة كبعيتو دهو الخميديا تكتلا قولو حيرو ودلتيو ما صرتو عم قابي شوتوسي توكوسي وأوعيتا ووثي مقوايو أسيريا تيفي مقوايو وقولتخو يميديا
اوكي ايبد
بيشاتو دتري 1011 شاريلي أسيريا تيفي بفروسيفي
Should we? Hello, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon. It's still afternoon in Spain. Yes, بس أصرت لك إسلام. Hey. Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon session. We, as you heard, Professor Afrem, we shifted a little bit. So first speaker will be Abdul Masih Saadi from Baylor University in somewhere in Texas. Is that correct, Abdul Masih?
Absolutely.
He's
correct.
So you are with us.
Absolutely.
I was together with Abdul Masih just last week. مشينا بشلوم عبد المسيح دي سنة حزيني وصرتخ. We were together at a conference in Heidelberg University, and Abdul Masih is known among the, let's say, Western Syrian communities. Very, very known, well-known person. He studied in Syria, he studied in America, he did his PhD in America, but he was for a long, long time the director of the patriarchal school, so seminary in Damascus of the Syrian-Orthodoxe Church. Afterwards, he went to America and did his PhD at the Lutheran College in Chicago, if I remember correctly. I don't have the text in front of me, but I can't, as far as I remember. And he did, of course, he did a lot, he published and so on, but he did a major work. This is the translation of the whole Bible. So the New Testament and even the Old Testament to Süryaniler of Tur-Abdin, to Süryaniler, while the New Testament is already published, unfortunately a little bit manipulated here and there in the monastery of Mor Gabriel. So I think he would do this, some parts of it in a different way, but he did translate the New Testament and the Old Testament. The Old Testament is going to be published hopefully soon. So then we will have the full Bible, even in Süryaniler, in Süryaniler soon in our hands. Abdul Masih is more than just a scholar. He's also, he's giving the mind. He's a head, to our people in many aspects, and he's an expert of literature, of Syriac, classical Syriac literature, in addition to all what he did. And he did, I wanted to underline this as well, he did translate, or he, how to call it in English, the film of Jesus. He did it in Mardelli Arabic, and he and his brother and his family and others published even the New Testament in Mardelli Arabic, so the Arabic dialect of Mardin, which he sees in a very, very close connection to Aramaic of to Surat of Tur-Abdin. So he's a highly respected colleague and friend and a person in our community. Abdul Masih, I will pass to you now the microphone. You are going to speak about the Morafrem. I'm mistaking now. I'm shifting from one to the other, Abdul Masih. You are speaking about the Syriac literature in history and self-identity, which is also a very important subject at this conference. Please.
Thank you for a great and deserved presentation for me. And welcome to all our friends and listeners, who are our listeners indeed. In fact, we speak about the Syriac literature as recognized by the 2nd century of the Christian era. Indeed, it was loaded by previous literatures of its region in various related languages. In the Syriac literature itself, all during the Christian era, contains significant references related to self-identity, despite its religious contents. I will explore the writings of few renowned writers throughout the history, including Tatian the Assyrian, 2nd century, Bardaisan, 2nd, 3rd century, Ephraim the Syrian or Mar Ephraim, 4th century, Jacob of Saruch, 5th, 6th century, Timothy the First, Patriarch Timothy the First, from the 8th century, and if the time allowed, we may speak about the Moshe Bar Kefa, my dear writers of the 9th century, Eshuadad of Marv, and Simon of Basra, up to the 3rd century. It is obvious that speaking of identity depends on how someone would identify it, whether linguistically, culturally, geographically, religiously, economically, politically, and combined of few. The Syriac literature in history can only contribute to one of its aspects. No wonder, obviously. Again, in the Christian era, most Syriac writers wrote in a Christian context and content. Still, there are various ways and means to detect and deduce their self-identity, in addition to being Christians. As we start from Tatian the Assyrian, he is well known as the author of the Gospel Harmony. In Syriac language. Fortunately for our purpose of self-identity, he authors another book, namely Oration to the Greeks, or Responding to the Greeks, in which he stated that he was born in Assyria. He subsequently was called the Assyrian, Haitian the Assyrian. The content of his oration was clear enough, as Timothy contrasted the clarity of his native philosophy knowledge with the complexity and ambiguity of its counterpart, the Greek. As far as the identity, he did not say more. He clearly demonstrated his belonging to the land of Assyria, and he showed his pride in his native knowledge and philosophy and culture. Right, 2nd century also, and 3rd century comes Bardaisan, second in chronologically. Well, we know a lot of Bardaisan, but one of his writings survived, fortunately. Albeit ambiguous, his association with Chaldeans' knowledge referred to cultural continuity of sort. In this context, in this text, he clearly spoke about his new identity as a Christian. Bardaisan's writing stopped here, but more into it to deduce. Clearer of all is Mar Ephraim, the famous Mar Ephraim. Again, I will say clearer because most of his writing survived, miraculously survived. So again, much clearer than Bardaisan and Taishan the Assyrian is the hero, Mar Ephraim. In the context of response to the Romans' Greek accusation of the native people of Nisibis as barbarians, Ephraim, the teacher of Nisibis, emphasizes the significant peculiarity of his country. As he was explaining Genesis 1, again he will deal with Christian materials. So explaining Genesis 1, he taught his fellow Nisibinians to chant with louder voice, God has made the Deklath, tigers, and the Froth, Euphrates, to irrigate the paradise. Then in a loud voice, look, behold, we live between them. In his word, in his Syriac pronunciation, Deklath den Wafroth, Ho Beinothun, Umrinan. In fact, Ephraim was not referring to just a land inscribed by the rivers of paradise, but more so than he was stressing the shared identity as we, behold, Hnan, we live between them. It is more at work here than simply pride of a place. For Ephraim, Genesis narrative demonstrate a blessedness to Nisibis and the ancestral lands that surrounds it. Ephraim, as Nisibinians, claim historical Mesopotamia, Beth-Nahrin, Mesopotamia, as his own ancestral land. Of course, for land, he used to use the word Ara. But more than that, his own identity, his people's identity. From this perspective, he treats the events, all the events, in fact, in the biblical stories. Commenting on biblical story, Ephraim celebrated the Mesopotamian land and its rich heritage in line with a sense of pride and communal identity. He wrote, "Let 10,000 tongues give thanks to our land." And then he goes on why. Then he said, "From your treasury, O my land, Zion enriched herself with sons of Jacob." ريبوا ليشونين نودون حلوف أرعان دبوها ليخو أبرهم وبار يعقوب من جازيخ from your treasury هو عثرى صهيون ببناي يعقوب. Another phrase that I sometimes admire and laugh when I hear it, when I hear the American politicians often today use always the term, "May God bless America." Now, back 17 centuries ago, "God bless our lands," Ephraim taught thousands of Mesopotamians to chant. For not only the patriarchs were born and raised in it, but even the Lord Christ himself first appearance was here in our land. Then a ray of him shone in Bethlehem. He's speaking, he's saying, "Shmod Ar'an Rabu من حبرثو بنهرد منيخ نهرات ثيبيل شمشو جرحاثو دد نحب بريثو بغاو أرعان دناح وثيابال وأزليق نهري من بيت الحين." Then he speaks to the land. "دمينيخ أرعان who smah Christ from you, O my Lord of our land." He appears. "Of Süryoi Beth-Nahrin, of Shulomo." My friends, the words are not just bold, which we come to expect from Ephraim. They are overwhelmingly stunning to come from a Christian theologian. Ephraim wants us to learn, he wants us to know that Bethlehem just borrowed a ray of the star that shone in our land. His boldness culminated in his address to his land itself, speaking to the land itself. He's saying, "From you, our land, he, Christ, appeared." As in the beginning, he referred to the lands of God created or made tigers and Euphrates as a paradise, as a place of paradise. As in the beginning, so till the end, we will be enriched in you and by you. As Ephraim celebrated the star, that is the star of Magi we know in Matthew 2nd, chapter 2, he made a point that because of the corruption of the kings of the Israelites, God commissioned the Assyrians and the Babylonians to stop and exile them as a punishment. Then, according to Ephraim, in the time of fulfillment, the star appeared in our land again and led the 12 symbolic 12 Magi, the sons of the Assyrians and the Babylonians, to meet him in person in Bethlehem. Ephraim does not spare any biblical event that referred to figures in Mesopotamia without giving a unique interpretation. Another instance is in Genesis 10. And unlike other interpreters, Jews and centuries later the Muslims, unlike them, he viewed King Nimrod in the most positive way that one can imagine, in which God made King Nimrod a model king. Therefore, according to Ephraim, in the process of installing a king or any new leader, it has to confirm on him this statement: you may become like Nimrod, the Almighty, the just king who was victorious in the battles of the lords. And in Syriac, it comes this way: التهوي أخ نمرود قابورو نحشرتونو إثنا صاح بقروباو دموريو. Then Ephraim makes a unique geographical connection to be understood figuratively. He speaks about King Nimrod, that King Nimrod ruled in Urk, and Urk is also Edessa, and he ruled in Akkad, that is Nisibis. Then he speaks about many other places and ends with, and in Rasan, that is Rish Aina, the great city. According to Sid Ephraim in his own words, أملاخ دين نمرود بأورك ديثي إديسا وبآكاد ديثي نصيبين وراسان رشعينو قريثو ربثو هوناو دين دبهاو زبنو. Ephraim is aware that geographically he is not correct, but as in his theology, he made figurative connection, which he is overwhelmed in communal identity and continuity. That continuity went to the coming father, somebody like Jacob of Saru in the 5th, 6th century. Following Ephraim's tradition, Jacob of Saru comments on the star again in a prophetic term for the coming Messiah, namely the Son of Righteousness. To Jacob of Saru, this son initiated a new era in our countries, and he means Mesopotamia. He said, the radiant sun of righteousness has risen in our country. By you, the entire world was lightened since it was dark. From the sky of our country happened the enlightenment. And in Jacob of Sarug words, Shimsho Fayo Zadi Qutho Dnah Athran Ukh Ithnahar كلهن سوف تحيشوا خنواو وطوفث أرعب نهرغ جايو دشتا ذرتلو. In fact, the tradition goes on and on. If I will jump to the 7th, 8th century, the time passed by. And by the 8th century, political, cultural, ecclesiastical, demographical changes came upon the region of Mesopotamia. Despite those many changes, the sense of belonging remains strong. The patriarch of the Church of the East, Mar Timothy I, 8th century, resorts to Ephraim's tradition of the star and the connection of the Assyrians and Babylonians with the first believers, the Magi. Now they are us, we, the sons of the East. The context in which Timothy wrote, he complains from the church's leader of the West, namely Rome, Constantinople, Alexandria, and Antioch. He claims that the Church of the East should and must be the first prominent church among all the rest. As Ephraim, Timothy stressed the native Christian traditions that all the key events of the Old Testament happened in our land. And even Jesus' spiritual appearance by means of the star happened in our land again. And finally, the Magi represents the people of the East who confess the Lord and present gifts to him. If I may quote Timothy in his own words, and it's long, I won't read it all, of course. Hochano of latrunos dilan madenhoyo, hawd mene ithxzi desliqad moyath mabu'ot hay, o marno forkono. Tixo qadmoyo rishoyo zodiq nfintar. نان دين بناي مدنحو قدوم كول أو دينان وهيمنان بمشيحو وتحويثو دهيمون وثان قال إيث يبنان إزقادين ترعسار هونون من كوبو إثهاديو وقربون توب هونون قاربنان حنان قاربنان ليه just for the sake of running and going back to conclusion, going forward to conclusion, in conclusion, it was not expected to read any source of political identity in the Syriac literature, obviously. Instead, the Syriac literature is so clear and even bold in the identity of belonging to the land, its heritage and culture, its history, including the Assyrians, the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, the Arameans, the Suryoye, and finally, from the 6th century on, Suryoye, albeit in Christianized form. وتوجه. وشو معنى إن؟ Yeah.
He says all Christians in the world are united. Only we, the Syrians, are divided into two fractions regarding the Maria as mother of Jesus or mother of God. Only we, the Syrians, are divided whether Maria is mother of God or mother of Jesus. So he sees all these people as Suryoye. as far as I remember, Barsalibi correctly.
Yeah, he sees it that way. Moshe Bar Kefa sees it that way. And even Barsalibi, since I didn't treated him, there is a lot actually to speak about. He said, Suryoye ithehun qadmoye othuroye. Basban, at the same time, in different places, Suryoye ithehun oromoye. So there was no distinction, kind of sharp distinction between those terminology that he used to say. Even Moshe Bar Kefa clearly says, from the 9th century, Suryoye, Umurit Syria kulo, of course he means by Syria, all Mesopotamia, the greater Mesopotamia, including of course Iraq, since he was living in Iraq today, in Mosul.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a short question by the other Abdul Masih here, Abdul Masih Bar Abraham. Yeah, the short one. Yeah, I looked at.
Tawdi Malfouna Abdul Masih. In the context of your last statement, there is also from Mar Mikhail Rabo a similar statement where he is referring to the fathers of the Suryoye, which are Assyrian and Babylonian. Of course, he's also talking about Aramean heritage. But the problem I think that we have through the history is, and this is also mentioned in Mar Mikhail's book, that we burned our own books, the old books, that we don't have the reference to our old books. So how do you see that? I mean, this is self-amputation from a historical point of view. How do you interpret this?
Short answer, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. Could you,
you didn't hear
relate
it?
anything?
Anything. إنك لايو كولينا تودي ساقي عبد المسيح لتلن زبنو لفايشلن عم حبول وش ولدو عبد المسيح تركك مشغولين لحنا بين نروح عند لو مينوخ بيفسوس ومينوخ تودي ساقي. Thank you very much عبد المسيح and
miss you a lot.
تودي ساقي.
I miss you a lot. تودي الخون.
We will move on now to the next speaker.
Yeah, please.
We shall continue. Our next speaker is Dr. Robin Betchmuel. Okay. Rabbi Robin, مننا نيبت؟ لخ بخزال لخا. مشينا إسلام. مشينا. ما حكيت بسورة يعني بإنجليز.
بسورت.
معكم بسورة بقي خمدي صورة conclusion بالإنجليز.
جمهور بطلابة سورة. روبن كريايت طبعا اخنا قبل خانه يذخله من دانا يريخا بس ايوا اوا دتري قلت تخمنتي بار بار سعد المالح دتري مدبرانا قوانايا ما امري لي بالانجليزي General Director of Syriac Literature and Culture. Yes, Culture and Arts. So بوا دراجة دية درغة دية شو بدية بلقلي رابا سباي وطبعا أوا إلي خا أمورا أتيخة يعني كتولي رابا ممري كساود ممري تخرن خك ممني بس أوا دالوبي يمكن تلقى رابا بسيملي اللي ما حكن بدي أخرابا رابي روبن ميكروفون مايك ديوخي لهدية باقد
شلاما الكنشة بريخة شلاما الملبانة والمطيبة وخبيوة دو لومادا في شليخطيرة جو مدرق يونيفرسيتي سلامانكا خخوباطة ديلانايا وبريشا تخورا بروفيسور افرم يلدز تودي الكل باين خمدي مذن كنشة بريخة أنا خرعياني برسوفايا بخشاوي من قد إديوم لتلم بياشا من استخصيت إيثوثا وهيايوثا أمتانيثا بريشتا شق من لشانا يما آثورايا سوريايا بتمرني آثورايا شرشة كدايا باويلا يما سوريايا أخبياشي لإذيعة يومانا يخقلي أكاديماي تيفيلاي لتلن شوق من لشانا بياشا هاي أرعى لتلن زوزة لتلن خيلة لتلن منيانا لتلن بياشا جو أثرواثا يما خورواثا شاريرة لتلن خيلة مزينة ينشكة لتلن وشركة لتلن يعني بين أمر today we don't have any elements of our distinct national existence and identity left except our mother tongue. Since we have no land, no money, no power, no number or population, no real friends, and no aramid power. We only have our mother tongue. لشانا يما مري لشانا ثرايا سوريايا وهي يوثا لشانا يما إلى لشانا شرشة مني فرعي لشاني أو لعزي خيني والطوسة يعني تبنخا لشانا شرشة إقرتا يعني فاميلي لشانا شيماي إلى لشانا أكادايا آثر باولايا يما أخت إلى لشانة لاتينايا لشانة يما ترابا لشانة جو أوروبا يومانا أوروبا إديوم راب من لشانة بليطة من لشانة لاتينايا أخت إلى لشانة لاتينايا تمرن وخمن سوكالة تيما جو لشانا سوكالة منايا تيما جو لشانا إلى شرشة أوريجن واليومانا خشمة شوطة من بني أمتن آثوراي أمريكا ترعيثة ين ميريثة مستا أمريلا يما سوكالة شرشة يعني نقتلوخ يما ماست خلوة أو دتلي مستا وكل شرشة بلشانة شيماي هاي شقرية يما وأب قول الشانة انجليشايا خمن سوكالة ماذر تونغ إلى لشانة شرشة عربت اللغة الأم ين اللغة الأصل ويول بنايت أو تودي ثنايت برناشا برونة أرعيلي منا بشلي قويلة وإلا بالداير قبل شانت برناشا برونة أرعيلي وليه خاية لشانة وعامر إلا جو أرعى أو جيوغرافيا بريلي قاوة أو بغدا أرعى ملخمتا أم طورستا تخاي جاوا ولمايث بعدين أرعيلا هايد نطرسة للشاني وخشلة لأزي ومبرة لأزوني وبخرثة سرغة ينزقرة هي يوثة برناشا ويوالي جونا أمتانايا بريشا برناشا بلشاني لبريشا إن مخكت سورث آتي سورايا ود إن مخكت قرذث آتي قرذايا ود إن مخكت عربت آتي عربايا ود إن مخكت تركث آتي تركايا ود أي قجاهي قامتها ليلة منايا لتخص سورايا محكي تركث ين محكي فارس ين محكي عربت هنا مزوم خمدي قطينا إيه على هذا كل شانا يما كم بيته لغدا أرعى ين جيوغرافيا سبق مرة أرعى كي مبرا لشانا وبهاي السيرة أو لشانا إذيع أبا متخيل هاوي خيلانا إيمانت إث وماخل هاوي زبن هاوي مخيلة إيمانت لت أنا ودين أرخد لشانا يما فيش ضعثة هي يوثة خبر صوبة أو كنشيا أو عمة أو أمتا أو أثرة مادين إن أرى إث لشانا يما إث إن لشانا يما إث هي يوثا أمتنيثا لتلقى إن غدا أمتا تلقى الأرعاثة تشعي ثاناي بتنتلقى للشانة يما إذا بإذا نيخا نيخا واللي شانة يما تلقلي لث بروس بتلقى هاي هي يوثا أمتنيثا وخبيا بريشوثا آثوريثا سوريثا على هذه لشانا ليما يث إلا بموثة أمتا خشخاثا خيني انطلقت لشانا ثنايا ولما فلخت يومئذ إلى موثى بياثا الوقت موثى ثنايا اللي شانا كديم لما فلخ ليه لم صوثق أبي جبيثا جمدرشتا جوادخلوا مادي لشانا بالتالف يعني لشانا ليها ولم طورانوثا قبوت هذا خمن أرخاثا طوارت لشانا إن هدخلوا مادي تناي لشاناي مردو ثناي أماناي فياشين أقطيري جو بث صوبا سالامانكا تودي الكل مدبراني ومشتعلاني ويصيفي الداشولا جو يونيفرسيتي سالامانكا جو إسبانيا هدخا هاو نقزة يتر ألصايا انطرتد لشانا يما إلى ريثة أرى خيلانوثا ودبشت أبا أرنوثا ويصيفوثا ولش وقتا وتركتا كمت ساري أي كنواثا يشتا وإيثوثا وأسقيها بقشية شويلة خيوثا سبقا بداية وقت مدن خيوثة أمتن ليلة برخاشة ليلة بزالة لقامة كل ميدل إيست البداية وكل مدن خمس آية أي كنواثة أمتن لينا باسيمة لا بل قرابة أمواثة خينة لينا باسيمة إن أخنا كتباغ دوش مزعورة أخنا سريوثا وخروتا وقطلة معركتا ابني لتباشا سبق ذالا بشنا قيذيلي من قذالة أمواثة بخاينة عمن لا بل أمواثة شوابت بخاينة عمن بيت تلخيخ عمي جو أرعاثا تشعيثناي ينبيت شو قخلا أرعا أخنا والدها وغزهير لدها نقزة ومجربخ كمات ماصخ لشوق أخلار عاثا يما سبتامل لشانا يما وتامل هي يوثا يما إن أثرى إن هوملاند ليث دايسبورا ليث قالوثا ليبريا لخا والد مشررخ أمرخ هي يوثا بيشرب ثيلا من لشانا هاي لشانا قدمنا ثيلي من هي يوثا ما هذا لشانا هي يوثيلي إن هي يوثا ليلة بلخت لشانا أبن لشانا إلي هاو استخصى يتر مقويانا وخيلانا وباعولا جو قشمت هي يوثا أمتنيثا أخت منهرا جو مدنخا جو باغلتا جو مديثة موصل وشطخت نينوي مشت تريل بس كله بضاية موبريلي قدنا بنياثا مصيلون بعلدواوا دجمنا قتلي منا وسلبي أرعاثا وانصخلون تكوشي القصرا وملكانين وشمطي الأتقين وشورانا بنية من نغهة تشعيثا كثوتا تشعيدة بشتلك كثوتا لا تشي سبوا ثانيثا اتلا مندي كثيوة مندي الرابة خيلانا تشمشتيقة كل برناشوثا هاد إيوا بث أركت آشر بانيبل السامة زودة من نوخن بالدينا كما البايت لوخي طينا إثواقبو بث أركت آشر بانيبل أي منهرة يولا مردوثا ومدينا يوثا كل برناشوثا مصيلون بعدواوا تلخي إتاثا وديرواثا إلى يقدموث مشي خايوثا مدن خيثا إلا لمصيل جنوي أو تجرذي أو تشيبي الهيايوثا كمت لشانا يمايا خيلي ومبلخة وانطيرة يخيوثا يوميثا انكم ترضينا موصل هر مخكيلا بلشانا نقولوا هضرة ينجو يوروب ينجو جالوثا وكمت لشانا إلى عمودة فالجاية بكوينة هيايوثا أمتا لتلقى والطوصة بالخد بد مثهن جتشا دبريلي بزونا فرمان سميلي ايتد مدنخة ان قدو هكالي ينطور عابدين بريلي جو تشعيثا قريوتة ايتد مدنخة يما كت بشلون سليبة منا أرعاثة وديرواثة وقنيانة واخدمناثا من تشعيثة إلا لشانه أمتنايا هالق متلا إبي خيلانا إيت وكما بلخالي إرد مدنخة يوم إيت يخيا هولاناي وروخاناي وإيت هاثا عيني إيتت هويا كما تصرت لاب لشانا مارانايت هيمانوثا بديدك أخنا يوغ سيريك language tradition إيتاثا وإيتاثا أيني إيتت هوياك ما تصرت لاب لشانا مارانايت هيمانوثا بتهاويلا هي يوثا برشتا وديلانيثا تياثا جانا ما هذا لث جزمة وازدؤثا الهيمانوثة وتوديثة كما دنطرتها للشانة ويرتوثة مردو تانيثة وما تناوع أو شاخل مني سب من مردوثة كي بلطة كل من دي وكل تبشتلا ضعثة بمردوثة أخنا انتي وخل إديوم مسي مخامخلا إيثوثا جو مدن خمس آية إيوان باثر مردوثا سب مردوثا عطرتوا مردوثا خيلانتوا وبشامي أمر إديوم مردوثا جو مدن خمس آية ليلة بشتوتا من مردواثة أم خيني قمذيلا رابا جو مردوثا جو ترجاما جو صرتا أرعى أو خمدي ما بشماني خطوصة ميثخ الملوءة هي يوثا ولشانا يما منايت أنا ميثنا وطوصة جو مملي ين ميثخا تبنخا إلى أوتوسا أو سامبل إلى ماروناي لبنان بشيء أو توسا خاي لهال إديو وليلي عريوة من بالة رانوي ثناي جبنيثا كل أن مرضنك يذيلي أي كتنطلقال ماروناي هي يوثي سورييثا أي من طلقال أو انطلقل لشاني أمتنايا مطلهنيانا يثراند لشان عربايا من خوثام دارت مانسر أهل بداية وقد ماروناي يمحكيوا ويكثويوا بلشانا هل خشبياشا خوثاما دارت مانسر دورة يندار عويرة وهل قام حكمة الصاري شني لثوز دوثا المشيخا يوثي إلا يومانا من باثر ترمشني من شوقت ماروناي لشاني سوريايا ثنايا يما وشوريلا أربايوثا قزامة وذثريد قبل مشيخا يوثي بملا أربايوثا انطايا الجرمد مشيخا يوثا ماروناي مهادخ اديوم إذ زوعة الليمة جو لونن مودويلي وبضايلي وبرمازيلي واتلنيشا داعر هي يوثا اتقتا والداعر اللي شان سوريايا ايكت ايوا هي يوثا مشيخا يوثا جو طور لبنان قزامة ثريد تهديد دنوعلي ينبريلي من باثرش وقتت لشانا يما بتآثي برش كل أمتا شوقة للشانة أمتنايا شرشايا كل أمتا شوقة للشانة بتنتلقى هي يوثا أمتنيثا هاد ماضي الزدوثة انطلقة أب هيمانوثا سب أخرا هيمانوثا مشي خيثا صرت لب للشانا بشعيد بإتاثة مدنخة إن لا مدوى اي امتا ان لا طبيا الياثا ان لا مدوى الجانا لشانا يما بتمدمني لشانا يما اخو المان تبخرا اخ هيلث برناشي لشانت يما ليه ريش تدخل مان تبخرخ الا اي من طلقت لي اي قد مرعى خدك ثخ اجي متلقط لها صبعة من صبعاثخ اجي بتريشد الخلمان بخرو اجي بتريشد الانقايوثة دا صبها يندا هدامة تقيلة جو بخرو ومطل مريخت تخيت هي يوثا سبق المحكوة وباس هي يوثا تنيثا ولشانا ان بايخ مريخخلة هي يوثا تنيثا مخشوخة وخ تمرمخ هذا آثا مرمخ خسلوغن هوي قسورايا ماريون وي بر أثرا سيتيزن وي بر أثرا جو آلولا وسورايا جو بيثا هنودين مبلغ لشانة أثرا أين أثرت إيلي مخكي جو آلولا إنجليز مخكي كردي مخكي عربي مخكي ألماني مخكي إسباني جو آلولا جو شولا يعني مخكي جو الور من بيثا لشانة جدة لشانة آلولا ومخكي لشانة أمتها جو بيثا أي رابع أنا نقيثة لأول سلوغن مرمخلي مخكي لشانة آلولا جو آلولا ومخكي لشانة أمتها جو بيثا هاي هي يوثا أمتنيثا إلى خوشاخة يومايا مبلغتا يوميثا لشانة جو بيثا ومدرشتا وإيتا وخوباتي مردوثاناي وأمناي وكثاوناي وشركة إن أي مبلغخلا لشانا لمايث هي يوثا بتزهيا بتمبينا مصخ أمرخ أخنا آثوراي وخ سب مخكوية وخ سورف إتلا لشانة ياثا وإلى أي هي يوثا أمتيثا ما إتلا أمتا من صبروثا ومانوثا وزمرة وطخصة وعياذه هاي تلشانة خيّة ين بلشانة خيّة أمتا كي قيّة ولشانة خيّة كي خيّة إيمنت هاوي على سبواثة ناشي إيمنت لشانة هاوي على سبواثة شوري إيمنت ناشي مخكي ومللي ومصوثي وهمزمي إبي إيجا لشانة ليمايل لبل خد هاوي جو كاساثة كثاوي ين جو طرفد وراقي لشانة والد هاوي على سبواثة هاوي خفيفة ليمايل ين لي تعلم إن أخنا نتلتلن أثرى شريت جانا ياثا هي يوثا أمتنيثا مقتلة لشانا ثنايا يمايا يترائيد جوارآثا تشعيثانايا يمايا هاي كلها يرتوثا أو يرتوثة أو هاثا غذيمايا من زونة أشربانيبال ثوثة الصصة نطيلة إلا مصعيوثة لشانا يما أثمرين هذا كذا يتمل ين سورياية يومانا أخنا داخي مستكلخ خاثوراية أرمي ين خسوراية تور-Abdin ين خسوراية سوريا ين تلونا العراق مو دي بقامة لنبغ ذا أخنا شوق من لشانا يما سبب إن أنا محكي عربي من دو بارساي من دو إيرانايا ليه مستكلي ليه بارملي ين هذا تور-Abdin هذا سوريا هذا الشركة أمي تماسي قامة أثرا إديوم إلى لشانا يما أخنا ندلتلن أثرا والدها منخ قد لشانا يما أختمري أثرايا سورايا إلى أو أثرا ديا والد نطرح لي وإن انطلق لن لشانا يما بتنطلق هي يوثا يميثا ما تهاوي شمن لخالف هايدلن إن لشانا يما زلة شمن بتآزل لبلجخ شمن الهنيانة يعني اليترانا لشانا بتميذع هي يوثا أمتنيتها لشانا بتآمر الشمن أمتنايا لشانا بتمخيه أو شمن أمتنايا هاي الدانيلا فقلت ان طرق يمني بتهاب ما تهابي لشانا هاي ايتا يعني هاي الدانا فقلت هاي الدانا ابلا خشمة بتحاضرا كما دقيقة بس هي مرابة اذا اختمري هاي الدانا ابلا خشمة بتحاضرا وشاوق لن خيخ ببريشوثا امتنيثا ان لها بين لشانا يما وهذا سنغرى ألن ومبارقلا من غزقتت لشانا الأوذانا وشوقتت هي يوثا الأهدانا هكوناشا كريا أكمري شرشة برناشا أرعيلا وكل شرشة يميلي وأرعى يما مبرا لشانا يما هاو لشانا ليخاية وعامر ومتطور إلا جو أرعى مزاغة دبريلي جاوة أو بأرعى تشتلخ برتا وزرعثا تخيي جاوة وبرناشا كيشاقلها هي يوثي أمتنيثا يميثا من هاو لشانا تصير لي بأرعى يما أو بأرعى شرعة على هذه إن باء نطرخ هي يوثا أمتنيثا والد بيشا قميطي أرعاثا يما مارين قميطي أبنت كل شوابا أنا يمنا لشوابي مخابوطنا الشلكتت واريدا من أرعن هاي علوابا مشاربة قلعتت واريدا أرخى جيوغرافيا والد هاوغ مزينة برعيانا أخمري ويبر أثرى آلولا أو الورم بيثا ويسورايا جبيثا همزم بلشانة سورايا جبيثا وملل بلشانة أثرى آلولا وملل بلشانة يما جبيثا أخمري بش اللي شانم ثاني خصتوخ سخية كي مشرل هي أيوثنا ثنيثا وأخنا كلها هي يصيبوثا بلشانا صبرياشي وخ بلشايد يمدن 5 آية أخنا من يانا مصاري لي خيلا مصاري لي شوابا بش خيلاني لمنن بش مصياني لمنن بش مالي زوزينا منن مصاينا أبن لا بل أنا رابق يا مارون إديوم أخرا صوثا أبصوثا أمتنيثا ليلة جويدا إلى جويدا شوابد بخاينا منن آني مطور إلى أبا أختي لهنياني أختي ليثراني برسوبايا ين جبايا ين شوطانايا ين توديثانايا ين شركة وشركة هايتم بسيمة رابا على برسد وشلامي وإيقاري كل مشوتفاني كل مشتعلاني رشعيد خورواتي شاريري يقرأ أبرم يلدز يقرأ شابو تلاي ثورة عتيقة
هود بسيمة رابع دكتور رابين بتشمول بسيمة رابع حاجة خيتا بتوم لقى بسيمة وتخمنتي مبرميانا برملن كلن وخمندي رشاية لشانا طبعا وخجا خيتا مخزيلو خنو أوا إلي شتستا رشانيتا أو عمودا رشانايا تأمتا هو لشانا عم حبال أو ما أمرخ لي بصورة مبيخلتا لتلندان البقار وبوناي لازم هماشا مجوجخ ايه اتلن خا تحرستا او خرزة مليا هود بسيمة رابا شلامي كل ناشنقو أطرا وبخازخلق إن شاء الله بخا توتا خالو ما دخينا
وعم حبي وترابرا بسيمة
هدية رابية فهم
اوكي دباتي خيتا وترابا بسيمة
أنا بدي شولي يعني
أنا قاول آية توخى آية لوبا لخينا please leave it leave it here leave it oh yeah أخواتي وخواتي ladies and gentlemen we are arriving at least to the last session of our academic sessions and I have the honor and the pleasure to have 2 persons here who made it possible, especially on my right side, Nora Bet Yosef Lacey, who is somehow creating, probably you are not so conscious of what you are creating, but you are doing a huge job within the Assyrian Art Institute, which is fostering such beautiful activities, projects that for sure will leave a fruitful many fruitful results for our next generation. I'm thankful to you to come. I know it has been very hard to be here. And at my left, another Assyrian, very active lady, Diana Farrell, who is also acting not only just a coordinator but as manager, as the one who is controlling all the group that is preparing now a wonderful concert with dance, music, songs, and so on. So this is the reason why we are here is for as last session is just to announce you that there are two important sections that they will explain it to you better than I do, but it was also in order to tell you that they are doing a huge job. Especially Nora, I'm thankful to you for all efforts, not only moral efforts, but also a financial support you are investing in those aspects that are needed. And I hope, I'm saying it 3 times, that many other Assyrians will take it as an example to invest in the Assyrian legacy, the linguistic, historical, musical, and so on branches. This is the way to rebuild Assyria. There's no other chance. Without education, you don't have any chance. And I'm repeating it, and I will never become tired to say it. This is the unique way to rebuild the Assyrian nation, the Assyrian society, and also to give a chance to the Assyrian people to really believe in themselves. This is probably what we like, but we are on the good way, and we are at the first steps. Let's put a solid basis in order to give the chance to the next generation that will build upon what we have settled. So I'm going to give, I don't know, how would you like to do?
I can please introduce.
Exactly. I will now give the role to you in order to explain them, first of all, what Assyrian Art Institute is doing and why you are here.
Okay.
Okay, because I haven't said she is financing the whole musical that is here. So please give her a warm clap.
Shalom Aleichem. Shemidi ile Nora Bet Yosef Lacey. If you allow me, I will speak English because we have some English-speaking audience with us. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Afram. He has been an amazing host. He has allowed us to bring some of the most talented Assyrian artists that you will meet tonight after this speech of ours, and we pray that you like what you are going to see. Well, I am the founder of Assyrian Art Institute, and it is interesting that many people, especially Assyrian community, ask me, Assyrians have so many needs. Why am I so focused in Assyrian art? And before I answer that question that probably many of you have, I need to say that human beings from 30, 40,000 years ago, when there was no language, when there was no city, when there was no books, there was nothing, they were living in caves, they started with art to communicate together. This is called cave art. They have, discovered art that has been produced in caves that communicates how people 30, 40,000 years ago lived and communicated among themselves. Coming to Assyrian, our own ancient ancestors did the same thing. Actually, in Turkey, they were remodeling a house in Turkey, and when they digged, they found a cave under the house where Assyrian gods were drawn in that cave. So that's another cave art, basically. So this is how our ancient Assyrian ancestors communicated, that they existed. Today, we go to these most reputable museums, like British Museum, like Louvre, like Metropolitan Museum, and the most impressive collection that they have, and they are so proud of, is Assyrian or Near Eastern section of their museums. Actually, I personally, I used to love Italian sculptures and art and stuff, and I was in a museum, and honestly, after seeing Assyrian art, went to Italian section and really did not look that hot compared to what our ancient ancestor has done. To make the long story short, I think art has a universal language that communicates with people of the world that we exist. Without people of the world knowing that we exist, we will have a hard time as a community to claim any right to make our causes sound important, because people don't know we exist. And I hope this is not an exaggeration, but most people in the world doesn't know Assyrians exist. I personally want to learn from my ancient Assyrian ancestors. If they believe in art, they believe that the art that they left from thousands of years ago is going to tell the world who we are today. I want to do the same thing. So that's why I am passionate about Assyrian art. And I believe in today's Assyrian artists because you can see their art that comes from their heart. Assyrian artists are our voices that through the universal language of art are telling the public who we are as a nation. We have artists that have paintings about genocide. We have artists that have painting about our culture, folkloric culture. We have art of all kinds of different genre. And that makes us as a living culture. We are a living culture because we have art, we have language. We sing. In art, we sing our Assyrian language. In art, we show who we are as people. So that makes me just take this part of our heritage and focus, because I know there is so many different, very legitimate causes out there. And I appreciate the Assyrian studies that in academia setting like this is bringing up so many speakers that are qualified to say what these causes are and what we need to do. And I have picked a small portion to focus on, and that's Assyrian art. And my goal is to hope that with demonstrating through universal language of art that we exist, we have continued, and we are here to stay. So tonight you are going to see an example of a performing art. We are going to have music, we're going to have singing, and we're going to have dancing. We actually have goddess Ishtar that is going to come alive because of enchanting music of Omar Bashir. And you're going to see that 2 Assyrian village warriors are going to fight over her, and one of them is going to win her. So I hope you come and enjoy the concert and see how rich our culture is. That's for tonight. I cannot be more proud to tell you what we are going to do in the future. And I have an amazing Assyrian woman here sitting on this table at the end, Diana Farrow, who is going to tell you what is her role at Assyrian Art Institute and how she is creating an art that is going to speak to public's heart hundreds of years from now. We are literally producing an opera. After Verdi produced Nabucco opera, that is based on Babylonian captivity and a small story of Nebuchadnezzar. After Rossini produced Semiramis, we are going to produce an opera that, God willing, is going to be performed hundreds of years from now and is going to keep people's public aware that we exist. And Diana is the producer of that opera. The opera is based on, is inspired by the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's going to be a live performance of 2 hours. Those that know Epic of Gilgamesh know that you cannot even tell the story in 2 hours. So she has so skillfully taken that story and have made it to be performed on a live stage without losing much. The story is there, all the elements are there. It's just she has skillfully done that because Diana is not only an amazing soprano, opera singer, she is an entrepreneur in the world of art. She is the founder of Lyric Opera of Orange County in LA area. And her organization produces opera on a regular basis. So I am very, very proud and honored to have her work with us. She is very passionate about her Assyrian heritage. She's Assyrian on her mother's side. And if you come and talk to her, you will see that she is wearing earrings from her grandmother that are Ishtar stars, basically. So I will let you hear her and hear her story about her production of Gilgamesh opera.
Hola, Shlami. Hello. I am also going to speak in English because it's all I can do. There's a lot to say about the project of Gilgamesh in general, but the reason that I was so excited about it when Nora first approached me with this opportunity is because growing up as a part Assyrian person, my experience in the culture was based in family. We did not have a large community by the time I was out of elementary school. So what I know comes from my family. And so everything that I know feels like a family tradition more than a cultural heritage tradition of Assyria. When Nora brought Gilgamesh to me, my understanding, or to me, what Gilgamesh speaks about is legacy. The idea that the legacy we leave behind is not about winning battles and great achievements and golds and riches and the things that we accumulate on earth, but it's about the way we treat people, one another, and the memories that people have of us when we're gone. And I thought, what a perfect allegory for the Assyrian people, and what a way to introduce us and what we value to the rest of the Western world. I hope it's a gateway drug more than anything else to learn about all of the different aspects of Assyrian art and culture and traditions. Music, as Nora was saying, music is a language all on its own. We all speak our mother tongue. Some of us are smart enough to speak many, many others. But if you ask any musician, music is its own language. In my experience around the world, especially just tonight, you will see musicians from Hungary, from Sweden, from USA, from all over the place. And while we are all learning to understand one another, when the music starts, everything makes sense, because that is a common language that we all speak. When we were discussing the way to write Gilgamesh, we wanted to make sure that we could utilize the Assyrian language, but we knew that this production was going to not just be for an Assyrian audience. The goal of the Gilgamesh project as an opera is to present this culture for everyone to experience for the first time, and to come away wondering, what else? What else? And be surprised at how familiar most of the stories are anyway. There is a lot of music, American, European, Arabic music, where people have translated the lyrics into Assyrian. But what we want to make sure we do with this, beyond the English language that the performers will be using to tell the story, is make sure that we craft something that highlights and displays the heart and the magic of the Assyrian language, instead of simply trying to put it as a drapery on top of something that already exists. Opera is, to me, the highest achievement in storytelling, because it combines all art forms to come together to share one message. Fine arts, costuming, music, words, dance, all of these with one shared common goal. And so, how do you take the epic of Gilgamesh and crunch it down into 1 2-hour story? Well, it's even more difficult to use a few words than it is to use all the words at your dispense. What we have to rely on to help share the story and help the audience fall in love with these characters and fear their power and see how the decisions that they make reflect us even in modern day life, is that we use the music to communicate with the audience. Everyone will have, whether they read music or not, is not a problem. When you feel music in a room with you, you understand immediately the aesthetic of the style, the emotion of the characters, the urgency of a situation. So the words that we choose are important, but the way we deliver them is even more so, which is why I am so grateful. I think that putting this amazing story into the form of an opera to help share our message and let the world know who we are, where we come from, and what we're doing today is such a perfect vehicle. So I ramble, I apologize, but I just want to thank Nora so much for the opportunity, and I really can't wait for you all to see what's coming next. It's a long process. We are currently interviewing composers from around the world. We've announced the commission almost a month ago, not quite, and we've already had almost 100 applications, and some of them are very big names, and it's very exciting to know that this is a story that they identify with and that they love, and some of them had no idea that it was Assyrian. So we're helping them help everyone by providing them with resources and education, and most excitingly, through AAI, a group of artists who are passionate about the mission, because the passion and the excitement is why people get involved in the first place, right? That's what art does for us. So I will stop talking, but thank you so much. Please, if you have questions, I would love to chat with you after the concert tonight and tell you more about the project and keep you informed. Thank you.
Just some few words in order to conclude this second day. As you see, we are going to have a wonderful evening. As I told before, we are thankful to you for the huge effort you are doing, also for the struggle for some values that probably have not been developed among the Syrian community yet. So it's time to focus on those aspects, I'm sure, and just count on the Nineveh Academic Chair's members to work with, to participate in those projects, and also to organize a specific, now my challenge to you, a specific research group on art that will be officially admitted at the university. So probably this is the way where we can really do something useful for the next generation. As I told you, I'm happy in this sense, and after these words we are going to have our coffee break while the music group is preparing for the concert. We have the chance to have a coffee now in the same place where we have been these 2 days. And an important announcement, please take your stuff with you, because we are not going to come back here until tomorrow. So just I ask you to do it. And yeah, please, again, working together, we have invented a word when we
Hey, na, na, na.